Good day, class. We'll be having our literature class today. We'll be done the SS1 class. We'll be treating a book written by a Nigerian writer, a female writer, one of the feminists, one of the best writers. She has a class of Zainab Akali, Flora Nwakpa. The play text we'll be treating is Second Class Citizen, written by Buchie Mecheta. Buchie Mecheta, the background. Buchie Mecheta was born in Lagos in 1944. She is the voice of a female African writer. She has been emphasized in her writing on what African woman goes through in marriage in an African society. The background of the play has devices many beyond the ordinary or common understanding of your expression. From the text, second-class citizens are referred to the female in African context are less rated. It is seen in the text where Adah is rated as second class by his husband Francis. Adah, the major character, school in 1960s. She did not go through the school because of her parents' desire to have her education, to have educated. Adah was brilliant and was able to secure a scholarship which took her through secondary education. We'll be talking of the setting of the play text. The play text, generally, I'll give an overview of the play text, but we'll start with the setting of the play text. The play text has two settings. It is a physical setting in Lagos and London, where they grew up in Akinwumi Street. And in London, Adah, who wants to acquire Western education by all means. During this time, education was meant for boys who were then thought to be more useful than girls. They lived in Akinwumi Street, where the Yorubas and Igbos lived together and exchanged ethnic slurs about each other. In London, the Obis lived in two places, Ashtown Street in Kingfield Town and Road by Kentish Town Station at different times. We'll be talking on the play text, Second Class Citizen. Buchie Mecheta tried to explore the play text because it was an autobiography. It happened to her. She tries to explore the rudiment or the suffering or the pains the ladies go through during this period. During this period, in the early 50s, when the play text was written, Adah wrote this play text to buttress a point that anything you have faith or you have belief on, you can achieve it. We saw that in the play text. Adah, the major character, Adah lived with the parent in Akinwumi Street with the younger brother, but Adah was not allowed to go to school. The younger brother was sent, but because Adah was enthusiastic and filled with zest that he must achieve this thing, Adah one day sneaked out of the house and went to the school. And the mother was almost arrested by the police because what? Later, Adah was allowed to go to school. And when Adah did that, Adah was given the opportunity. But later, the thing was short-lived. By who? Death. The parents died, and Adah was sent to live with the relatives. And the relatives maltreated Adah. The relatives, they used Adah like a house help. Adah suffered different kind of anguish through pains. But at the tail end, we saw Adah prospering because she had this destiny. She was destined and determined to fulfill everything. Adah was sent to school, but during the afternoon section, there was a day Adah said, informed the family about school fees and everything and the registration for her exams. The family rejected. So the money that she was given to go and buy things, Adah went and hid the money on the ground. And when Adah got home, Adah told them that the money was stolen. She has misplaced the money, and Adah was beaten blue-black. Adah suffered pains and agonies. But at the tail end, Adah used that money to go and register. Adah became successful. Adah got a scholarship. And Adah, because she was so young, Adah at the age of 15, she got married. Adah got married to Francis Obi. Francis Obi was coming from another background where the mother has given him that belief that you are not supposed to work. It's the woman that is supposed to labor for you. So he now told the mother about Adah's intention, and the mother now sees that as what opportunity. He now said what? Francis should get married to Adah because Adah was industrious and hardworking. And because Adah was desperate to leave the family's house because of the maltreatment, Adah got married to Francis Obi. And at the tail end, we saw what happened. Francis maltreated Adah, and Adah had a vision of going to London to school further. Francis too had that idea. Francis now said he must go first. And Adah worked tirelessly because Adah was working in a library. And Francis was sent to London. Before Francis left, he had two kids because they were living in a suburb of Lagos, and their family, the background, because of an Igbo setting, because Francis had this Igbo typical culture he had in his head, mentality, the sentiment that a woman must fend for the husband. So when Francis traveled to London, most of their kids, if you check their names, Bubu, Victor, Dada, they were not given typical Igbo names. So Ada traveled later. Ada convinced Francis' mother. He later joined Francis in abroad, in London. When he got there, she was surprised. She was amazed. What she thought was happening in London, Francis was just squandering his life. And when he got to London, where they were living was an eyesore. Ada was disappointed and frustrated. When Ada got there, within 3 weeks, Ada was pregnant. Because anytime Francis touches Ada, Ada became so fertile that anything happened, she's pregnant. And when Ada went for the interview, Ada was taken. But she was very fortunate because they never checked her pregnancy test. Ada was given the job in the library. When he got home, she was happy. And they told Francis. Francis too was rejoicing because he knows that, yes, the funding continued. And during that time, Francis has written the exams, more than accountancy exam, more than 4 or 5 times, and he has failed. He believes Ada has been the brainchild of everything, and he has been the one making him to fail his exams. Ada became successful when he now brought in Ada brought in the idea that yes, he wants to write a manuscript. He now told the people he was working with, and he said the manuscript was very beautiful. In that excitement, she got home and told Francis. Francis, out of jealousy and envy, he got angry and he condemned me. He said, you are a second-class citizen in London. Who represents you? Nobody knows you. Who are you? You are a black woman. Who will see your script? But Francis never encouraged Ada. Ada kept the manuscript. After the third child was delivered, so Francis later started working in the post office place, and he complains every time he comes home. He's always complaining. Ada got angry and went back to work after like 2 months of staying at home. And Ada got a job back in the post office. After that, Ada became pregnant again for the fourth child, and Francis was still maltreating Ada. It was a time Ada was beaten blue black, and Ada was crying in the railway station. He now met with an Igbo family, and he now came home to beg with Francis. Francis got angry just because Francis never wanted anything. And during the Christmas period, right, where parents buy things for their kids, Francis will claim that it's a Jehovah Witness. Because why? They say during the Christmas period, Jehovah Witness don't celebrate Christmas. And they went through hell in getting a residential area. So they were giving quick notice to park because of the battering of them. And they now moved to another street, Noble Street, and they met with a noble, a Nigerian who has stayed in London for years. Ada was staying there with his husband. So Ada got it to the brim that yes, one of these days when he came home, we saw Francis burning papers. He never knew it was a manuscript. And Ada said, no, this is the point of it. I cannot bear this anymore. Francis gave Ada beating of her life. Ada almost fainted, and Ada went to report. So that's how Ada eloped from Francis. But at the tail end, we saw Francis discovering Ada. Ada reported the case to the police and the welfare. So Francis was apprehended that he should stop coming to the house, and he was given it. That's how Ada divorced Francis. We're going to the characters. Ada is the major character. She's the heroine of the playtext. She was given a paint of what African women go through in our society. During when this playtext was written, second-class citizen. During that period, women were not given, they don't have voice. They believe the woman in African society should be at home, cooking. The men should be the one going to school. So Ada was a victim of such. Ada played a role, and she had this faith. Destiny was with her. And at the tail end, she succeeded and she achieved. Ada was this fertile woman. Anytime she comes in contact with Francis, she is pregnant. So Ada succeeded at the tail end of the playtext. Francis Francis, the husband, an envious husband who was lazy and always complaining. Francis has a minor character, but she was one of the villain of Adah because she became a torment to Adah. She failed the accounting exam 7 times, and he all portioned of the failure to Adah. He said Adah has been the problem of him failing his exam. Francis became a troublesome husband and was always envious and jealous of Adah after burning the manuscript and battering Adah even in a pregnancy. And now Francis was having an affair with the woman who was taking care of their kids, Bubu and Victor, when they were in the daycare. And we saw them suffering, drinking the drainage water. Francis was Francis had this I don't care attitude. Francis was so lazy because the mother has painted this picture in his heart that you are not supposed to work, your wife is supposed to labor for you. Francis never achieved anything at the tail end of the novel. We see the third characters, Mr. and Mrs. Ophelia. We saw the third character, Mr. and Mrs. Ophelia. They were minor characters. They were the parents of Adah and his younger brother. They died untimely. The father was a military officer who was staying on the barrack there before he retired. He now started staying in Akinome Street. The mother was a seamstress. The mother was the one who did the clothing when they had a visitor from London, from Ibuza. He was one popular lawyer, Ibuza. And the last character we'll be talking on is Babalola. Babalola was one of the characters within the street we were staying in Akinwumi. He was just a minor character. They were all talking always, they were always having share ideas together. We'll be going on to the themes in the play text. The first thing we'll be looking on is marriage without love. Marriage without love. We check the situation, marriage without love. We saw Adah because of frustration. He got married to Francis. Not because of what? Because it was marriage of convenience. Adah was forced into early marriage because he was going through hell in his relative's house. He never had any love. He had no joy in this marriage. But because he wanted out of these family troubles he was going through with the relative, he got married at the age of 15. She suffered a lot. She went through hell in the hands of Francis. At the tail end, we know how it ended. Francis and Adah got separated because of the battering and the suffering she went through. We'll be going through the second theme, stubborn female. Adah was a very resilient female. She was a great heroine. She fought till the end of the playtext. Adah stood her ground, and at the tail end, all her children went through. She survived everyone. Adah was so stubborn because yes, she has made her mind when she left Lagos that she will not come back, she will not fail. And at the tail end, Adah came out victorious. After the divorce of the husband, that is how she could write this book, The Second Class Citizen. Adah buttressed all what the ladies, African women, were going through within this period, the early 60s, and what they went through and how they came out of it. The third thing we'll be talking about is the feminist temper. And how the playwright Buchi Emecheta, she was a feminist and she was writing this play text from the feminine angle. We checked here, we checked the feminist temper. Here we see Adah. There were some things Adah really showed African society, especially the Igbo context, where he believed that as an Igbo woman, you must be outspoken. Because when they had a tussle with the woman who was taking care of the kids in the daycare, Adah dealt with her. She showed that it was an African woman and an Igbo lady for that. Adah was a woman that had respect for Francis and loved Francis passionately, but she just became a victim of circumstance, and Francis never gave her the love she wanted. So the feminist nature there, we saw Adah fighting everything, tooth and nail to come out, and she came out successful. The last thing we'll be checking out, irresponsible husbandhood. Yeah, Francis was the main character, was the tag. Francis was so irresponsible because the mother believed Francis should not work. He believed that mentality of what the mother had said. So Francis, the only time Francis worked was when Adah gave birth to the fourth kid. He said, yes, he was working in the post office place. But at the tail end, anytime Francis comes back from work, Francis will complain heaven and earth. Francis was always complaining, but at the tail end, Francis never achieved anything. In our outcome exams, he has failed more than 7 times, and he all buttressed the failure to Adah. We come to the conclusion of the class. We'll be meeting next week. Have a good day.